One thing you notice as you start observing the breath is when you're observing the breath, you're interrupting whatever thought pattern happens to be occurring. So this is a very simple tool.
I'd always been active and exercised, and what I'd been doing at the time when I was diagnosed was running.
Intentionally start to focus on the breathing. The mind has a tough time doing two things at once.
It was very shocking. I mean, friends and family were always like, you know, Sarah's one of the healthiest people we know, and I was tired.
Help to dislocate or help us to let go of whatever churning we may be working with mentally, and now lower the feet down.
Once they diagnosed me and said I was going to have chemotherapy, I was like, okay, when do I go home? And they're like, no, the kind of chemotherapy you're going to get for leukemia, you need to get it like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. After the bone marrow transplant, they say it's like a year recovery. You're kind of like in a bubble. You can't really do a lot. When you have it in the hospital, you can't, you're in a room that you can't really leave. You can have people come in, you're on a special diet, you can't be around, you know, when I got home, I couldn't walk around the neighborhood because of fungus and bacteria and stuff. Well, it was a challenge to, you know, kind of be homebound and not do much, and so that's why when I heard about the yoga class, I thought, wow, that sounds like a gentle way for me to actually start moving my body. His class is, you know, more meditation than, you know, physically challenging, but it's amazing.
I think people who take the class regularly and learn the techniques are able to relax themselves, learn about their ability to calm their own body and mind, which is hugely beneficial in life in general and specifically in stressful treatment situations, or when there are strong emotions there of fear or anxiety in relation to the diagnosis or the treatment.
And those things are real. I mean, it's not that I can't, you know, they're real. We have deadlines and pressures, and, you know. My kids actually said to me that, I asked them one very open-ended question at dinner, and about what they noticed pre and post, you know, when I got sick. And they said that I'm so much more relaxed now. And I was like, really? Was I uptight, Mom? And, you know, they said, well, sort of.
Meditation trains your brain and produces the brain waves that are associated with relaxation. So even just, well, a daily practice of meditation is of course very important, but if you only do it 2 or 3 times a week for 5 minutes, there's benefits to that in relaxation. And anytime you feel more relaxed, or that your body feels more relaxed, it's just better for you. We just know that the more, you know, we all know about, oh, I'm so stressed out, everybody's so stressed out. And we know that when you're more relaxed, you do better in general, and it impacts many bodily processes. It affects anxiety, it affects depression, it affects blood pressure, it affects irritable bowel syndrome. Meditation affects our neurotransmitters, which we used to think were just centered in the brain. We now know that neurotransmitters are all throughout the body.
You know, I think most people probably have the situation where if there is a problem that you're experiencing, it could be with a relationship, it could be financial concerns, whatever it might be. You have this kind of tape that starts to run in your head, you know, and you start to think about things and maybe worry, and sometimes you go to worst case scenario. And much of that is not helpful. First of all, just the fact that I might have a bone marrow biopsy next month doesn't mean my leukemia is back. I have a bone marrow biopsy. It's partly to check that there's no leukemia. So if you focus on your breathing, what it does is it centers me, and suddenly I'm looking at this information or this thoughts that are spinning in my head from a different perspective. And one of the things that happens is I realize that not everything that we're thinking in our heads is true.